Welcome to New Stripe City, a podcast for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. My co-host, G, is with us as well. And today we have a special guest with us. We have former Bengal and good friend of ours, Larry Black, on the show. Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Nice to join you guys on the podcast. So I'm feeling good. Me and my wife just had our first son, and congrats to you as well on your first son as well. So,
Thank you.
blessings. It's exciting times right now. So,
Hey, it definitely is. It's definitely times where you don't get much sleep either, right?
man, I've been struggling. It's good though. It's all good. So
Right. Well, Larry, we didn't want to hold you for too long, so we'll go ahead and get into some questions. Obviously,
yeah.
a couple weeks ago, the Bengals had their draft, and I'm pretty sure you've played for the Bengals, but you also grew up a Bengals fan. What did you think about their draft that they had?
I loved it, man. I loved it, especially with the first round pick in Ross, man. I mean, that guy is a whole nother type of player, man. I mean, that's a guy who could catch a slant and take it 80 yards, So, and it's no telling what he could possibly help us out with in the return game. But for a first round pick, it kind of a lot of people kind of felt like it had that Oakland Raiders type vibe to it, when they go for that speed right off the back. But a guy like that, man, I think he's a dynamic player, and for him in the first round was pretty intriguing, and I liked it. And then they came in the second and got Mixon, and besides all the stuff that happened off the field, when you look at that guy on the field, it's not too many like him. So for him to come in, I think it's gonna shake some things up in the backfield. Especially with our run game. And you guys know our run game, the past, 2 seasons, is kind of, it ain't been like, yeah, but it's been okay. So I think he brings that spark for us, kind of like, coming out the backfield, that guy could be dynamic with us. He can run inside the tackles and bounce it. And then seeing how Gio comes back from his injury will be pretty interesting as well. Do you guys know how he's been progressing, Gio?
Haven't seen any real updates on what his condition is right now.
Okay.
From what I heard, he's expected to be participating in a limited fashion.
Okay.
So he's actually ahead of schedule, I believe, to be there. I think I read something on Bengals.com though that Jeff Hobson believes that they'll still, even though he might be ready for the start of the season, will still hold him out for a couple weeks just to be safe.
Okay. Well, that'd be interesting. And Mixon probably get quite a little load, with him being out. So that'd be good. And then, in the third we got the DN from Kansas State, right?
Right, Jordan Willis.
Yeah, and then we came in the fourth and got another DN, right, from
Auburn, Carl Lawson. Yep.
So that's gonna shake some things up on the D line right there, because you got some guys who are coming in hungry, and I think that's a good pickup. You can never go wrong with athletic D linemen. Rushing the passer, which I think we do really well already, but it's the name of the game right now. How can you affect the quarterback? And picking up those two guys is pretty interesting. And I really didn't catch who our later round picks were, but I'm sure there's some. Who were the later guys?
Well, one of the guys in the later rounds that were picked was a D tackle. I believe he might be a nose actually. Ryan Glasgow from Michigan.
Oh yeah. I can't forget about that. I remember that. Now he actually played with my brother in Michigan. And
wow.
That guy. They walked on, their whole family walked on to Michigan and are just proven players. So, him, and they took him in the fourth, right?
Right. Yeah, they took him in the fourth.
And he's a great guy, and I think he's gonna add depth to our D line for sure. And with Petco being gone, and we got big Billings coming back off the injury. They say he's doing well, so it should be interesting camp battles at that D line up front. Like it should be real intense.
And that actually leads up to my next question. Like you said, obviously we know that you participated in that D-line battle yourself, and you spoke on the battle that they're going to have now, obviously with Andrew Billings, Hardison, Glasgow, Willis, and all of these guys. It's going to be a tough battle. How do you see that battle, in a sense, from, in your opinion, going for that nose guard? Is it going to be Andrew Billings there, Pat Sims, or what's your idea of how that line will look?
Man, that D line, man, it's gonna be pretty interesting. From what I'm hearing, I hear Billings is the guy. I'm hearing he's a force to be reckoned with. He had his injury last year, but a guy to his size, they say that guy can move and he's quick with his hands off the ball, playing that nose guard position, which it's a grimy position. You gotta be able to eat up them double teams and free up those backers like Burfict and those guys so they can run free. But I'm hearing that I think that guy might be the guy we're looking for, because the guy, he's 330, he's 6'4" and up, and he can anchor down in there. So someone like him, I'm kind of hearing that it might be him. But then I wouldn't be surprised if Glasgow um, starts to make a lot of noise, because you watch that guy tape in Michigan, he's a solid nose guard. He's a solid D lineman, plays with nice leverage, his hands, and all that good stuff. But then you can't forget Pat Sims as well. That guy's a veteran. How many years, I don't even know, but he's a veteran, savvy vet, and he knows how to get the job done. But if I had my take, I would probably say Billings, starting out next to Geno day one, because I just hear good things about that guy.
G, did you have any questions for Larry?
I do. So I know that you're a defensive guy, but with all these offensive hiccups in the draft, what do you think our offensive line like? Do you think our offensive line is ready to let this offense be great, or do you think we still need to work on this offensive line?
Well, just looking at it, I want to see what's going to happen with Fisher. The guy was highly regarded coming out of Oregon, and I want to see if he can really help us out. And then also up front, just losing Zeitler, that's a big hit right there. That guy was really, really good, talented player. So I actually think though that, with and we lost Whitworth too. So if you're looking at it, it's kind of is rough. Is it going to allow the Bengals to be great? I don't know. Because when I look at it, who's our returning starters? Who's on the O line? Bodine?
Because we got rid of
Russell Bodine's there. They brought Andre Smith back. He's actually converting to a right guard now. Jake at right tackle.
Is Smith at guard now?
Yeah, they're putting Smith at guard, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, you know what? It might be good for him later in his career. He don't have to work on the outside as much. He can handle the inside and be quick in there. So besides, I think the guy's a really good player, good run blocker. So it might be good for him.
And I think the only other person that's a veteran coming back is Clint Boland. Clint Boland is back too at the left guard.
And he's a proven guy as well. Now, what about the rookie we had last year, the first round pick? It was kind of an eye opener season for him last year. So, but I think that guy will take the right steps.
Obwehi?
Yeah. I think he will take the right steps and progress. That guy has a ton of talent. So I don't see anything holding him back this year. But if we could solidify and I didn't know Andre was at guard. Now that actually brings a lot more comfort with a proven veteran in there. So it'll be interesting though. I think that those guys will have to click during camp and really get that chemistry, but it's going to be good for them. They're going to be going against one of the best D lines in the league every practice, so that only is going to make them better.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Well, G, if you didn't have any other questions, we can go ahead and let Larry go. Larry, appreciate your time. Hey, you're always welcome to stop by, man. I know last time we talked about potentially having you on after the game sometimes, but I know, with me and you both having newborns, we'll see how that works.
Yeah, man. It'll be interesting. Be busy because these kids they drive you everywhere. So
right.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But yeah, man, I thank you guys for having me on. How you guys feeling about the Bengals this coming year? You were just a little quick summary. How you guys feel before I leave?
G, how do you feel?
Well, I feel like we have all the tools necessary to be great. I just hope we know how to use those tools in the appropriate manner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be great. I think we could have an awesome season now.
Mm-hmm.
We could also have an interesting season if we don't know how to use these new pickups the way that I think
Yeah.
they can.
Yeah, so you're loving the new pickups. And I am too. It should be really interesting. You know, like I said, those first two guys in the first 2 rounds, they're dynamic players. So,
Absolutely. And
what about you?
I'd probably say that I'm pretty excited, man. Honestly, I like what they did on the defense. They kind of trimmed some fat, and they're throwing some youth in there. I love what they did in the draft. Initially, I was somewhat critical of the first pick, only because of John Ross's health. That was the only thing that kind of him being a guy that you picked at 9 with the injury report. But apparently, that's supposed to be pretty clean now. But I think I like what they did, man. I mean, you add some weapons on offense other than AJ, so you don't put all the pressure on him and Eifert. Also added a lot of athleticism, and I like that on the defensive line. I mean, seeing them go after pass rushers that are more modern as far as the guys that are, in the 250s and run the 4.5, things of that nature. So it was kind of cool to see them kind of get out of their comfort zone and go after some of those guys. And I think potentially that this could be one of the best drafts that we've had. And then you also brought in the linebacker and mentor. So I'm pretty excited, man. I want to see what they can do next year.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you just look at our roster, man, you'd be like, why are we not in the Super Bowl? Like, you just said Eifert. I mean, we got Eifert at tight end. We got Carlos Dunlap rushing the passer, Geno Atkins rushing the passer and stopping the run. It's time to be great, and I think those guys would. By the way, I been looking at Burfict. It looked like that guy trimmed a little weight and looking good. And they say he's killing it right now in mini camp. So I think our defense goes with him because that guy's just his vibes are crazy and everybody just really feeds off of him. So a guy like that leading the defense, I think we should be good.
I really can't wait to see him line up behind Burfict, bro. I mean, behind Billings. My bad. Burfict and Billings.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because Burfict is gonna be running through everything. Because Billings is gonna you gotta block him with 2 for a guy to be that big. So that's gonna help our backers out a lot. Vinny Ray, guys like that's gonna help them out a ton.
All right, well, Larry, we didn't want to hold you for too long, man. Once again, appreciate you coming on, boss.
All right, man, we got to do this more. Do it more often.
Yes, sir, definitely. Take it easy.
See you guys.
See ya. Well, as you guys just heard, we just had former Bengal Larry Black on to kick off the show. G, what were your thoughts on some of the things that he kind of said?
I think that he believes in our defense a lot, and he really opened up my eyes a little bit more because I was a little bit on the edge about our defense. Like, we have some great pickups, but still, they're the Bengals, and they always pick you up, and sometimes you just get dropped somewhere. And so, like, his confidence in the defense really made me feel good. Like, you know what? We really did have some solid pickups in the offseason and in the draft, and I'm really excited to see them play. Like, this defense could be really nasty. Like, Burfict, Billings, like he was just talking about, oh my gosh, like that could be really exciting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the defense playing this season.
Right, definitely. So let's just switch gears a little bit. Obviously, there were a couple of rule changes. Most notably, one that Marvin Lewis was criticized for because he gave a comment on, and basically what that was that Roger Goodell has decided to reintroduce the allowance of touchdown celebrations back into the game. So now, players have designated rules on what they're allowed to do. He also said that I believe Chad Johnson was reached out to for some of his advice on it. And basically what ended up happening was that Marvin Lewis said that, allowing touchdown celebrations back into the game would not be a good example for the younger children. And he took a lot of heat on that because obviously we just drafted Joe Mixon. So, a lot of people were like, okay, how does touchdown celebrations equate to being a negative for the youth, but, or not being a good example for the youth, but you drafted Joe Mixon. G, what are your thoughts on touchdown celebrations? Do you think Marvin's just, a little, in a sense, off touch with the generation, or, how do you feel about his comments on that?
Well, I obviously don't agree with Marvin's comments, but in a way, I feel like maybe his comments are a little bit biased because he was Chad Johnson's coach. So he saw the extreme of the extreme when it came to touchdown celebrations. So I feel like that's probably where he's coming from. Like, I had Chad Johnson. I don't feel like we need any more touchdown celebrations. And I kind of, in a sense, get that. But I also agree. I'm happy that Roger Goodell is opening the door back up to touchdown celebrations because I feel like, you should be able to celebrate getting a touchdown. People should know there are lines to be drawn. Like, let's not go back to Chad Johnson, but, let's celebrate. I think Brandon LaFell did an interview this week where he said he wanted to bring back the bob and weave that the Rams did back in the 90s. Like, I'm totally okay with things like that, and I feel like those type of celebrations should be okay. Now, when you start doing the extreme things, like I'm with Marvin, like, all right, y'all, like, that's too much. But definitely within reason, touchdown celebrations should happen, and I'm happy that they're bringing that back into the league.
I totally agree with you. I think Marvin, like you said, just dealing with Chad and T.O., I think he's, more so focused on not having guys that basically put touchdown celebrations in front of the goal of winning games. And I think that's what he's more so worried about. Jeremy Hill obviously is a guy that loves to do touchdown celebrations. I don't see that really affecting him necessarily. But I feel like with our team, they're more so disciplined. AJ Green, he's not really much of a celebrator. He does, do some things every now and then, but it's not anything over the top or anywhere near in the realm of Chad Johnson. But when you really look at it, I really don't see that many guys outside of Jeremy Hill on our team that really celebrate. So
Exactly.
I don't really see that really affecting us. As far as the youth, I'm not sure what he means as far as, it has a negative impact on the youth. I just remember growing up loving watching guys like T.O. and these guys do these touchdown celebrations just because it was entertaining. And when you have, a league full of employees with NFL players, you have to allow those guys to be themselves. As long as it's within the realm of the rules. You can't have guys that are pretty much disappointed and calling it the no fun league. And, there's so many things that they can't do already. Why not, make something reasonable for them to do in terms of celebration? So, T.O., I think of T.O., he probably was pretty over the top. But honestly, like, outside of like that Dallas touchdown where he ran to like the 50-yard line and slammed the football on the star, he really didn't have too many outrageous celebrations. And I even think back to me, one of the coolest celebrations that T.O. did, or the most thoughtful one, was when he went against Ray Lewis one year and he did like Ray Lewis's own like celebration dance.
I remember that.
That was pretty amazing. So, and then I think like you said with LaFell with the bob and weave, I think that in a sense motivates more of a team celebration versus an individual celebration.
Absolutely, because this is a team sport. But even in like talking about T.O. and those celebrations, like, I still don't see anything wrong with you doing Ray Lewis's dance in the end zone when you get a touchdown. Like, that's like competition to me. Like, let's go to work. Like, let's play. Like, I just got a touchdown in your house. Like, what are you going to do about it? And like, when you look at Chad Johnson putting on like a Hall of Fame jacket or taking over the cameraman or stuff like that, like, okay, that's too much. And I feel like as a football player, you know that. Like, Chad Johnson knew before he did half of the things that he did as celebration that he was crossing the line. So as long as you as an athlete, as a professional athlete, understand, like, I can have fun with this and celebrate and not do all of that, then it's okay. Like, it's within reason. Because like you said, like, group team celebrations, like all that stuff, like, it instills what this game is. It's a competition. Like, who's going to win? And I think that pumps people up. I like it.
Right, I totally agree. We touched a little bit, and Larry kind of alluded to, Vontaze Burfict and him being in top shape this year. obviously, in my opinion, he was already one of the best, if not the best or most impactful player on the Bengals defense. With him being in shape, G, and this being a contract year, how do you see this season going for Vontaze Burfict?
Like, the ball is really in his court. It can go however he wants it to be. I mean, as long as he's healthy. You know, he's really susceptible to concussions, unfortunately. I think he needs to watch that and be careful of that. But if Vontaze Burfict is healthy, like, really, I seriously think Vontaze Burfict is one of the best linebackers out here in the league that's really slept on, and he doesn't get acknowledged for it. Like, him and Luke Kuechly was his name from Cincinnati. Like, seriously, there's nobody, like, they're in a league of their own. Nobody's really touching them when he's playing his game and when he's healthy. So this could really be his year to make or break. And but you also got to look at him. He also has an attitude thing. Sometimes he can get a little out of control on the field. So as long as he can keep it in the pocket, play to the best of his ability that we know he can, like, this could be a great year for Vontaze Burfict. I love watching him play.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think the guy is anywhere near acclaimed as he should be by his peers in the NFL. I was just thinking about that because right now they're doing the top 100 NFL players, and I just realized he's never been on that list. And it makes absolutely no sense. I think, like you said, him and Luke Kuechly, they're clearly in a class of their own. He made such an impact on the field. And I think a lot of it is also because that negative stigma that comes with him with the cheap shots and stuff kind of overshadows how good of a player he actually is.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, you hit it on the head. He could have a really good year if he plays discipline like he did last year. Outside of that Patriots game, apparently there was some kind of questionable play there on his side. But I mean, from what I saw with the camera angle, I didn't really see what he did necessarily. But if he can combine that with some of his play, and then you also take into account that last year the guy played amazing. I think PFF said that he was the number one graded guy at his position the second half of the season. And obviously last year he wasn't in anywhere near as good of shape as he ever has been this year. So, I mean, man, it's like we saw him, possibly in worse shape and, still coming back from the injury and suspension last year. So I think this year, goodness, I don't know what the guy can do. But
if he's healthy, like Vontaze Burfict, nobody's really touching him. If he's healthy, nobody's touching him.
Right. I totally agree. The last thing that I want to touch on is obviously right now it's around the time where the Bengals kind of do their extensions and things of that nature. Obviously, there's two big free agents approaching the Bengals for, I want to say 2018, and that is who we just talked about, Vontaze Burfict and Tyler Eifert. Now, G, if you had a choice, let's just say hypothetically we can only pick one of these guys to extend this year, and the other guy might have to get either franchise next year or we have to wait to try to give him a deal next year. Which guy between Burfict and Eifert would you pick?
It's hard. They're both great players, but they both get hurt a lot.
Right.
Like, I'm really trying to think of, like, since Eifert has played for the Bengals, I don't think he's even played a whole season. While he's great, he's hurt a lot. And it's kind of like when he's there, he's a great asset for our offense. You need him there. But when he's not there, somehow we still make it work. So then in a sense, you kind of have to think, is he the one that I think he's the one you wait on. I think you keep Vontaze Burfict. Just because I don't think you can find tight ends out here. You really can. Like, there's some great tight ends in the league. But I don't think you're going to find a linebacker like Vontaze Burfict. You're not going to find anybody with that athleticism, with that instinct on the field. Like, you're in that leadership, like, on the defense. Like, you're not going to find that. And I think that's the one that you extend the contract to.
I totally agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head with this one, too. You're not going to find a Vontaze Burfict. And honestly, before we found Vontaze Burfict, we spent years chasing that guy that was like Odell Thurman back in the day. And I think that's the kind of impact that Vontaze Burfict has. And I think, like you said, it's harder to replace a guy like that than it would be an Eifert. With Eifert, like you said, he's a very good player. He's honestly probably, in my opinion, a top 3 to top 5 tight end.
Absolutely.
But the injury scares me. But the thing that I think about with Eifert that worries me in terms of picking between them is the Bengals have somewhat of a little bit more leverage, I would think, with Eifert than they would with Burfict right now. I would still pick Burfict, but I could see us picking Burfict and then, Tyler Eifert in his contract year ending up having another season like he did in 2015. And then it's just like, wow, how much do we really pay him after that? Because we just saw, Rob Gronkowski just get, a crazy kind of extension in his deal. There was something where they added more of a bonus. But honestly, I like how the Patriots did Gronkowski's deal because they made it to where he has to play a certain amount of games. So the Bengals should definitely take a page out of that book and do that with Eifert. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be easier. I mean, it's not easy to really replace Tyler Eifert, but I feel like you have a better chance of finding a good tight end where there's not much drop off between him and Eifert versus you finding a Vontaze Burfict. I mean, we went from Jermaine Gresham to Tyler Eifert, and obviously, there wasn't. Obviously, Eifert has been better, but there wasn't much of a drop off in talent when it came to finding that person. Versus when we lost Odell Thurman back in the day, and then we just spent years, literally almost a decade, trying to find a guy that could, potentially live up to that same level. So I think that you're totally right on that.
Yeah, that's you. Because I always think about Tyler Eifert, and I always wonder about how long he'll be a Bengal, just because, I mean, he's a very dynamic tight end, but he's always hurt. And I think about who or where the Bengals are trying to go offensively. Like, who do you draft as a tight end to back him up when he's not there? Like, there's somebody, I think there should be another tight end that we have who could fill in when Tyler Eifert's not there. Because when Tyler Eifert's not there, the other tight end, I forget, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. It's kind of like his presence isn't felt as much as Eifert.
CJ Uzoma is who you thinking about.
Yeah. So it's just, it's man.
Oh, Tyler Kroft. You talking about Tyler Kroft then?
The tall white guy.
Yeah, Tyler Kroft.
Yeah. Yeah. This is how I'm thinking about it right now. But definitely you want to hold on to Vontaze Burfict. That's an irreplaceable athlete.
Right, I totally agree. Well, with that being said, we'll go ahead and bring the show to a close. G, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. We hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. And as usual, guys, we'll leave you guys with a who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.
Have a good weekend, guys. See ya.